Hello everyone, welcome to another DrillMaster video critique. This is from a request that I received quite a while ago, actually, back in February of 2020. It's now, today is March 31st, actually, 2020. So, received it through Twitter, and this is actually kind of exciting for me. If you want to see top level exhibition drill, then one of the best creative processes that you can see, one of the best performances that you can see, is going to be John J. Silver Eagles. Now, the male armed drill team is from year to year absolutely outstanding. Sometimes not as outstanding as other years, but that's to be expected. You can't consistently maintain 100% of the time throughout all of the years with the team changing. So it's a very interesting time for me to be able to critique this from this request. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and get started. And so now I got to stop this because I got a comment here. Opening statement. It's really quick, but it absolutely draws everybody's attention. This is exactly how you want to start. So this is the 2019 performance. So just the previous year at Nationals. So you have everybody in the audience turning to the drill team. Whether they're, we have these ubiquitous cell phones now, whether they're on their phone or not, everybody's eyes are right there, or everybody moves their phone to record the performance, honestly. Now, watch how they enter in a staggered formation, and then curve around so that they're perfectly aligned. Now, it doesn't work out that they're perfectly aligned in this performance, but you can see the concept here, and it is really very, very good. Now, one of the things, I'm going to back up just a hair here. Now, watch the feet. So, if you notice here, some of the feet are a couple of... I was just pointing at my screen. Sorry, that was kind of silly. So, you can see here, the this element is marking time. This element marks time, and then this element, at least the last member here, takes another step. Doesn't begin to mark time, but also halting is different. So, and that was just a mistake by this individual. It's not a big deal, although it does diminish the effectiveness of the entrance, which is unfortunate. But things happen. So the chant is great as they come in. It's still engaging that audience, and it's helping to build tension and anticipation. And then the rifle movements along. So you've got all these things happening. You have rifle movement, the chanting, and not only rifle movement, but counter melody rifle movement, syncopation there, and then marching, staying in line, and the list goes on and on and on. All of these multiple responsibilities. So the demand here is very high, and which means that the exposure to error is very high, and there is very little of error here. Now, did you hear butt slam, turn, butt slam, and then butt slam slower? Interesting how they brought the tempo down. Release technique, the spin was spot on. Maybe just a hair was out of time there. Now, I got to back this up. Do you see how not only they're facing, but they're also moving as they face? See how they're moving away from each other, creating a wider formation. Bit of a problem there, but like I said, it happens. So here you can hear the commanders reporting in. You can see these very powerful stances and the kneeling position. So this is so very different from anything you've probably seen, and this is going to leave an indelible mark in the judge's mind because it is so out of the ordinary. Now, having the commander integrated into the team, spinning the entire time, but then exposed so that he can now report into the commander. That's exactly what you want. Wherever the commander is, doesn't necessarily have to be center in the formation, but when you expose the commander should be the center of focus and not necessarily center in the formation. So far, couple of small mistakes, but easily recovered from. Now, absolutely superb. Absolutely superb there. And I like it so much, I want to see it again. All right, so they back into formation. Notice they back into formation. And they arrive aligned. So that takes hours of practice. So you can see that the training, the planning first, before the training even begins, the planning is at a very high level. Planning then finished, then you get into... Now watch how they're performing different rifle movements between the 6 on the outside, the 3 in the middle, and then they all end together. Now, this is same number of counts, but they all end, they're all performing something different, and then they end together. And this is the outside of the box thinking that you want. So a little bit of it looked like also another mistake there with arm movement. So here's this is called blackout. And the spin is, the spinning movement there with the rifle just adds an element of danger, but also precision. Slight alignment issues during the backup and face there. But notice how they are exploring a wide range of movements. The precision here is just outstandingly high. So that was a great exhibition column movement. Well, no, more of a flanking movement, using angled lines to flank over. Just outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Little phasing there at for the mark time. And I would suggest marking time less. Now let me go back to that facing movement there. The slow facing movement. You probably don't understand how difficult that is in just the facing movement. So body control here is outstanding. It really is. Ripple lines, but or ripple movements, I should say, but in completely different. Wonderful job. Completely different arrangements for those ripples. Now, even though that was a regulation drill move, they made that regulation drill move their own. Slight alignment issue there during that pass-through. And honestly, the pass-through would have been much more effective had the team been oriented to the... So the audience, where I am, we can consider this... where the camera is, I should say. Where the camera is, this is going to be stage right, all right? And what we're looking at across the way, that's stage left. So to the camera's right is the front of the stage. That's where the audience is. That pass-through that they just did, that was it really looked good, but it's not as effective as if they would have been oriented so that everybody in the audience, now to our right, could have seen that pass through and seen that the whole team of 9 come into one single line and then break apart there, break apart that single line. That would have been so much more effective. It was effective in and of itself. I would have loved to have seen the movement from that angle, but just a more of a composition analysis here of orientation. So it looked like at least one excess foot movement there. I just want to check that out again. Yeah. So right here, excess foot movement. So now you're probably thinking, oh, you're nitpicking. Well, no, not necessarily. If you go to my other drill team, exhibition drill team videos that I've critiqued, where I've been judging or that have been sent in, you'll notice that I give a critique that is similar to, whether there's secondary or even tertiary movement, phasing in movement, alignment issues, and like I was just saying about orientation. So when you get to that, we could say that there are 3 levels. There's a beginning level, an intermediate level, and then an advanced level. So obviously we're dealing with a team at an advanced level. So you wouldn't expect, at the advanced level, Now we'll leave the couple of mistakes that have happened out, because mistakes just happen. It just takes that much more practice to eliminate those mistakes. But something like a secondary foot movement there, when you're at this, like I was saying, that advanced level, you don't expect that. So I point that out just to make the performers aware, and then also the audience here to this video, not the audience for the performance, but the audience that I'm speaking to right now, for the performers that are out there. You don't want just one individual making even a secondary movement. You want to have things as exact as possible. That's going to bring across the effect that you're looking for, which is many times absolute perfection. And this movement from I've seen this before, this movement from the front really looks good. These ripple moves going front to back. It really looks good. Oh, good. I'm glad the camera was able to move, get a little bit of an angle for the front. So, obviously, they move into a single file line for a ripple line. And I need to go back. Difficult to tell from the side. From the front, it would have been a little easier if there was a mistake, or if they were going from the inside out. Let me just make a quick nice pause there. Interesting. I'll just make a quick comment here about ripple lines. So obviously ripple lines are going to go left to right, right to left, and which is effective. However, when you're in a ripple line, and you can see this in a lot of foreign national teams, especially in Europe, they are ripple line heavy, because exhibition marching really isn't, or it can be difficult to translate, and I'm not talking about languages, to translate into audience appreciation. So, and also the performance areas might not work in as far as trying to create exhibition moves. So American exhibition drill, how we move and how we create different movements, translating or transitioning into each of the movements and from each of the movements. American exhibition drill is quite unique. Other countries obviously have exhibition drill teams for their services, and also even civilian drill teams. Look at Vanguard Rifle Drill Team in Taiwan, and several others that are in Taiwan and throughout Asia. Lots of armed drill teams out there, whether they're cadet or independent. And then we have obviously the service drill teams, but ripple lines are heavily used overseas, most likely because it's a crowd pleaser. Now, for us in military drill, it can become a little boring. So what you want to do then is eliminate that boredom by, you're going to go left and right, back and forth. That's fine. But you can start outside, which is very difficult, and go inside. You can start inside and go outside. Starting inside and going outside is a little easier. Synchronizing the two ends to start at the same time and come in, it can be difficult. But there are ways to signal that and get that started. But You can also do every other one as far as the ripple. Have every other one going this way and every other one going that way. So all kinds of different things that you can do as far as ripple lines are concerned. And it doesn't have to be just rifle movement. It can be also body movement. It can be footwork as well, incorporated with it. As you saw, the team here, they went down to a kneeling position. So your mind can think of, oh, there was, I can't remember the team's name, possibly from Illinois, unarmed Air Force Junior ROTC. I wish I could remember the name, but they actually took their covers off and used the covers as a piece of equipment for the ripple line. Absolutely fantastic. Just a great idea to be able to do that. Flipping it with the hand and just doing all kinds of amazing stuff with it. So now I don't recommend taking off a shoe or anything like that, but at least the cover was easy to remove, easy to put back on. Rifles are quite easy to think of as far as ripples are concerned. But when it gets into unarmed, it can be a little limiting. So use your imagination when you get to that ripple line. And using the line for the exchanges, also a very good idea. Now, and I've said this, I don't know how many dozens, hundreds of times. When you're spinning, especially like the single hand front spin there, just like they were doing. When you're spinning, you either pin that free arm or you purposefully move it. And this purposeful movement that they did, anybody can spin and pin their arm. Anybody can spin and have their free arm kind of float around because they're concentrating so much on what they're doing. But once you master spinning and pinning your arm, then creating purposeful movement is going to be so much more effective. Let's go here. So much more effective in communication to your audience. So watch this. See the right arm behind, right arm out to the side at an angle, right arm out to the side, straight from the shoulder. So alignment was a bit of an issue, but from the front you really couldn't tell. And here, now, I'll go back to composition analysis. The movement into this last, let's go here. Let's go right here. The movement into this, the wedge here. I'll comment as we're doing it. So spinning around, I appreciate the rear march in place into the mark time, but there's a distinct lack of performance here. Even at this level, the team has been performing extremely well throughout the whole performance, but there's a certain lack of performance as the team is marching away and then spinning around. So I would have expected, and this is not necessarily a dig at the creative process that the team and the instructors went through, but I would have expected a performance into this wedge-like shape. Now you could see those tosses there. Superb. Now, the only way to get tosses like this is to ensure, you can see now his toss was just a little bit slower, but you can see even here, now that I've stopped it, look at the rifle here. It's almost, both of these rifles are almost, well, they're the same angle. Of course, this a little bit fuzzy there because of the frame rate, but they're almost horizontal, but they're the same. The only way you get the rifles to match, especially that initial toss, which was the perfect toss, right up close, right up in front of your audience. The best way to do that is to ensure that everybody initiates the toss or the spin, whatever movement. But in this case, we're talking about a toss. The only way to do that is to ensure that everybody is initiating that toss exactly the same. Everybody has the same grip on the butt. Everybody brings the rifle forward at the same time. If you're going to bring that off the shoulder and stop it, and then you're going to use both hands to flip, or you just use the one. Whatever you do, everybody needs to do exactly the same thing. Throw using the exact same force, and it takes time. Obviously, it takes time. That's the only way you can have the rifles match in air, which is the goal that you should shoot for. And like I said, it takes a lot of time, a lot of practice. So you can definitely tell there is evidence in training. The team here, it's just superb. Good. So look at the slight variation of technique, just slight, as far as the see here we have leaning back. Now, well, let's go back just a second here. All right, so he's leaning forward, they're leaning back, but then again, these two are the same, and this is the a separate, so we can understand that here this is the commander's position, but if you look here, these two are the same, although his right thigh is actually more vertical than his, but these two are the same. So these two here are the same, these two here are the same. So the variation of technique here doesn't necessarily matter because this individual is alone in this. I'm going to back it up just a bit more. Yeah, and even the back two, the very back two there, they're the same as well. So they're resting, and actually this is a good time to talk about it. So the technique here and the technique here, whether you have your center of balance on your rear foot or your forefoot is totally up to you. But look at how different it looks, obviously. Physically different, but as far as emotion is concerned, look at the powerful stance we have here, and I don't know if I'd want to say less powerful, but I would take actually I think I would say slightly less powerful. It's still a powerful stance, but this is more of a presence. If I lean into the camera like this, it's more of a presence. So if you are the judge, then if I'm leaning into you like this, but still remaining erect, then rather than standing back, the rifle being vertical and the rifle at an angle, there's a difference there. But the differences are supposed to be there, and this is exactly what the team wanted, and I appreciate the time and effort that it took to not only plan but practice this. So the only thing I have to add to this is create a curtain call. Now, obviously, the performance was outstanding, but if you create a curtain call and have the audience screaming for more, that's exactly what you want. Now, the audience already, since they're already yelling, they'd love to see the performance again, I'm sure. But by creating a curtain call, I mean, you could either perform out, or you end with a closing statement, and not just halt and then order arms and fall out. The usual that we do in the service. And I mean, the march off at port, or even a slightly angled, so where the sling is pointing out. That's even a more powerful. It's powerful. Port is a powerful-ish position, but then if you slide that left hand up and rotate the rifle out so that the sling is facing forward, that's a much more powerful position. So marching out like that, I think it just lends to the atmosphere that the team has created, but then having that closing statement, I think, really would have clinched the perfection, really, that comes across in so this is actually, I kind of spoke too soon here. Not bad at all. Oh, wow. So I'm very impressed with this performance. Very impressed. They did a fantastic job. So a couple of things to work on, which is really just practice. And I know this is last year's performance, but I'm more speaking to those who are learning from this video, learning from my critique. The orientation of the one move, I think, having it performed differently, I really think would have come across much better. There were just a couple of mistakes here and there, and I'm pretty sure that with a few more practices, you probably could have ironed those out. But really, as a judge, it's just fun to sit back and watch performances like this. It really is such a joy to see a year's worth of work go into performing. And this is why this is the exact reason why I say judges should be trained. Judges can't be briefed and then be expected to go out and appreciate a performance at this level. Really, there are, and I'm not trying to put down any other school out there who only has so much funding, so much practice time. That's great. I appreciate all of the performances that are out there. I really do. And if you only have so much time, if you only have so much funding, then great. You do the best you can, and I will give you the credit that is deserved if I'm critiquing. I think that's just awesome. Now, I've been trained, and I can speak to performances like this. Other judges, I've been to a lot of drill meets. I mean, a lot of drill meets. We show up the morning of, and here's your sheet. You're on field 9. You're in the gym, or whatever it is, and so you just sit there and look at the sheet, and I try to grade as best I can according to the score sheet. And the score sheets are, honestly, they need a lot of improvement. A lot of improvement. And There have been some improvements over the years, but still, it's when you have judges constantly looking down, especially for regulation drill, that's just not the thing to do. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I can talk forever, as you well know. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, please post them below. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I've got all kinds of free training that I post all the time. My Instagram page is full of what I call micro training moments. All right. Thanks again. Have a great day.